We are back with Ylissean, Patreon supporter. This is the second video that you've done on the channel, so I'm super excited to be back with UniVersus. You're going to give me 5 more UniVersus cards, maybe some harder, maybe some easier than last time. I remember I learned a lot of mechanics last time, and I brushed up a little bit before we did this again, but there's a lot going on in UniVersus cards. They're really, really interesting, so even if you don't play UniVersus, please let me know what you think about these cards in the comments below if you haven't played this game before, and if you have, you're going to see a UniVersus video today, which there's not many out there, so I'm happy to provide that for you, and thank you, Ylissean, for coming on the channel. By the way, also, listen, you are now a streamer, and you stream on Ylissean SJ on Twitch, so I'm going to put the link down in the description below for everyone to click on as well. It's YLISSEAN SJ at twitch.tv, so make sure to check them out. We're going to go ahead and get started with the UniVersus cards, and there's 5 of them that I'm going to evaluate today and tell you whether they are good or bad. What's up, Ylissean?
All right, so last time I showed you a character first, and I'm going to do that again. Like the last time where everything is playable on the death symbol, everything will be playable on the water symbol for this character.
Okay.
So feel free to use that as an anchor point. You don't have to, but just as an idea. So
Perfect.
Here is the character.
Minoru Mineta. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It is a 0 block 6, and it's also a 6 check. The art of this is really cool.
You don't need to worry about. You don't have to worry about the difficulty and checks for characters.
But this is a character. Okay, this is the blue character you're saying, or one of the decks you can play this in is the water one, but you can play this with death or the other one as well.
Yep, evil.
Evil. Okay, so you start with 5 cards in your hand. It has 31 health. You start with 31 health since you have this character. Enhance is when you attack, right? You have an enhance trigger of anything you can trigger with enhance.
Yes. So when you play an attack, you will go responses to playing attack, then enhances, and then once both players pass an enhance, it will go to blocks.
Okay, and you can do multiple enhances in the enhance step.
Yep.
Okay.
As many as you can, as long as you make the cost.
Okay. Once per turn, your rival adds 1 foundation from their stage to their card pool. What is a card pool?
So remember the concept of you play a foundation on a 3, and then you'll play one with a 2 difficulty, and that one will cost a 3.
Yeah.
That's that area before they go down into the stage is the card.
Okay, got it. You add a foundation from their stage to their card pool. If it is your rival's turn, they may build the top card of their deck face down. Okay. Enhance, discard 1 momentum. Okay. So I remember you gain momentum as you go, and you can discard momentum for other effects, or if you gain enough momentum, it's like an energy bar, where if you fill it up, and you can get other bonuses. Mm-hmm. Okay. Discard 1 momentum, reduce this attack speed to 0, draw a card. Okay. So it's good. It enhances your attackers and makes their attack speed 0. So basically, you don't really want your attack speed to be 0, but you get to draw a card and maybe not get the attack through is what I'm gathering, right?
So that one, for fairness, it's mostly a defensive effect. So you're using it on your opponent's attack.
Oh, got it. Okay. So you reduce their, and it's bad to have your attack speed 0, is what I remember, right? It's kind of bad?
Right.
Okay. So
yeah,
you can
for the opponent, it's bad.
Okay, so you can use this when your opponent attacks, and you discard a momentum, and then reduce their creature's attack speed to 0, and then you draw a card. That seems a lot better.
Yeah.
Your rival adding a foundation from their stage to their card pool seems interesting because they get to rebuild the top card of their deck face down, so they still get the foundation. Well, yeah, they still get technically a foundation, but they get an extra card into their card pool, which is maybe not necessarily what you want to happen, and they get to choose the foundation to put in their card pool. So that seems kind of bad. Why would you? I don't know if why would you ever want to do that? Your rival adds a foundation from their stage to their card pool. Maybe you're cutting them off on mana if it's your own turn, but if you do it on your opponent's turn, maybe there's foundations that they have that have abilities, and maybe if all the foundations they have abilities, they get a random card off the top of their deck instead, and it makes the foundation not have the ability anymore, I guess. I don't know why you would ever use the first enhance, but you can help me out with that. But I think this card. I mean, I like drawing cards. Okay, I'm a Magic player, so if you give me the option between winning the game or drawing cards, I'm always going to pick drawing cards. So, like, I'm going to err on the side of this card being good.
So one of my locals is going to kill me for saying this, but he is okay. He has gotten a few tops by that same local player, but he's not gotten any other tops by most other people. He's one of those very specialist characters.
Okay.
So you were asking why you would want to use the top enhance, right? So when a card goes, so basically what it's saying is that they're debuilding one foundation, so they're getting rid of a resource, a land to tap, an effect to use, especially if it's on your turn, your second turn, and you went first. They don't have any face downs. They can't. They're getting rid of a card that they want to have face up, right?
Right. That's kind of what I was getting at, but I didn't know like why you would want to do it on your opponent's turn if like if you're giving them a foundation anyway, like if you're building the top card of their deck, you know.
So because it's going into their card pool, it's adding to that progressive difficulty. So it's making their cards harder to play moving forward.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. It does add to their difficulty. I forgot about that part.
Right. So if they played a poke attack on a 5 and they want to use another attack after, well, this just makes that next attack even harder.
Okay.
So does it always matter? Not really, but sometimes it does. Like it's that basically this is the character that takes a lot of time to learn, and he's also very hard to kill despite being 5 hand size, because he's got a lot of life if an attack does go through. But because he has that discarded momentum effect, and there's decent ways to get momentum, he always has a card in hand, and he's always reducing speed to 0, so he basically always has a block.
That's fair. Okay. Nice. I like that. And I like drawing cards, so I might be one of the people that, if I played this game, would definitely want to try out the Minoru Mineta for sure. I also kind of relate this to Iyslander a little bit in Flesh and Blood. If anyone's played Flesh and Blood or plays it currently, let me know in the comments. But I played a little bit of that, and Iyslander seems like one of the decks that it's like pretty bad if you don't really know. If you don't know the intricacies, but when you do learn exactly like what the deck's supposed to be doing and how to maneuver through the cards in the card pool, the deck's like super good, and there's like a pretty steep learning curve. So is that kind of what we're talking about with this?
Yeah, he's gotten a few tops from the dedicated players, but most people can't just pick him up and play him.
True. Okay, I like this card. Okay, yeah, let's go to the next card. I did get this like kind of wrong, I guess, right? I said it was good. It did get some tops though, but you're gonna 0.5 me. You're gonna half point me again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. All right, let's go to the next card. Let's go to the next card.
So I'm curious what you think about this one.
There is one person in the comments that was like, please just stop giving yourself a half point. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I said this card was I liked this card. I said it was kind of good, and then you said it had tops, but then you said it wasn't that good. Oh my god, I don't even know if I can say this on YouTube. Eat my... Okay, this card has this has a 1 block, a 1 high block. It's a 4 what's it called again? It's a 4 toughness. No, 4 hardness. Difficulty. Oh, I forget that. 4 difficulty, 4 up attack, 4 power, 3 check, enhance. If this attack is not blocked, add the top card of your rival's discard pile to their card pool. What do I think of this? Add the top card of your rival's discard pile to their card pool? If you're doing like more than 1 attack per turn and you're like an aggro deck, you could, in the same vein as the last card, make it harder for them by increasing the difficulty on their board. It is a 1 block itself, so that's kind of good. It is a up 4 attack, which is like a pretty good attack. I know that the low attacks you said from last video are the best one, but I remember that 4 up is a pretty good number. 4 power is like kind of medium, and 3 check is pretty bad. Since this is a 4 difficulty and 3 check, I'm going to say this card's not that good.
So I'm gonna tell you this to maybe help you reevaluate, but the average for attacks is 3 check, and most attacks are 4 difficulty or higher. So
Most
that's
attacks
just a
are
standard for
most
attack.
attacks are 4 difficulty or higher. And what's the 3 check you said?
That's the average for attacks as well, 3 or lower.
Oh, okay. And like, there's not that. What's the ratio of like attacks to non-attacks in
33% attacks, 66%
Foundations?
foundations or other. Yeah.
So like, you can't like this card is a 3 check, so it's like not going to check in the early game, right? From what I remember, like it can, it's just not like guaranteed.
So for your first build turn, you want like safety 3s is a good way to go about it.
Oh, 3 is like the number you want to hit.
So the way that we call the first turns, if you only have 3 checks in your deck and you don't have lowers, they call it safety 3s. That means you can play on a 3 curve and pass all of them and not worry about it. So 3 is pretty good for
Okay.
Relative consistency.
So your 2, if it was like a 2 check, it would be like terrible, or like worse.
It could be. It depends on the card.
Okay, fair. Well, I do like the up block. The up block's pretty good. I do like the fact that it's a 4-speed up attack. Like, I just didn't think. I thought that the 4 and the 3 were off rate, but if they're on rate, then I would say that this card is like an above average card. But I don't know. Like, the enhance is like, I feel like it could be better, but it does let your attacks, like, not only is it like a kind of hard to block with the 4 up, but it makes it even harder to block your other things by making them like making it harder for them to play stuff. And if your leader is already making it harder to play stuff, then like it's kind of like locking out your opponent in a way. I mean, I'm gonna say this card is like a little bit above average. I don't think it's broken, but I'm gonna say it's like kind of above average now that you said the 4-3 thing. I'm gonna change my mind.
That is 100% correct. This card is above average. Early into the game, because this is actually a set 1 card, it just got a reprint. This card was in one of the best decks in the format. It was a deck called it was for Suyu Asui. She's the frog girl from MHA for people who know that. And she had an effect where she could commit herself to discard a kick or ranged attack from the card pool, and then give the current one 2 speed. And then she had an ability that if you flipped a foundation, you could ready her. So she could basically just keep removing cards to the card pool. And what's interesting about this card, eat my,
eat my sticky rice.
Yes, is that later on it became less good as card pool clog became a bit more nuanced. But what this basically says is that if you block, you have a card in your card pool. If you don't block, you have a card in your card pool. And that's always basically giving them a +1, which is very hard, especially when she had other cards that just did it on enhance, as opposed to depending on what they did, right?
Right.
And then she's always clearing her card pool, so she's basically making it so that she will kill you on turn 2. Like, this was a decent card for that hyper aggro strategy. But over time it kind of fell off, but it's still not a bad include.
Okay. Nice. I kind of like this card, but then again, I don't think it's like that broken.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You wouldn't go wrong playing it. So this one, I'm gonna show you a decently new mechanic.
We have Cheerleader. It is a 2/5 check with a 3 mid block, and it has response, remove, spend 1 momentum. After an attack is played, it gains flash, which means unblockable, right?
Flash means that it skips the enhanced step, so it goes straight from responses to play to blocking stuff.
Okay, so like it can kind of turn off your opponent's enhances if they have like beneficial enhances when you attack, basically.
Correct.
Okay, but also you can't do yours either, right?
You can.
Oh, you get yours, but they don't get theirs?
No player gets an enhanced step. I'm sorry, I thought you were saying.
Oh, no player gets an
You
enhanced
can't
step.
use it in your own attack.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it. Let's see. Hakagure, first form. Flip. Both players build the top card of their deck face down. So you have to flip this over?
Yes, it goes face down. It loses all effects, but it still can tap for.
Okay. Both players build the top card of their deck face down. only playable if your rival has 8 or fewer foundations. Which they are going to, because you're putting cards from their foundations into their like play area. So like it's going to be harder for them to have that. No?
So for this example, it can't be used with Moneta because of that first word Hagakure. There's a character named Toru Hagakure, and that ability can only be played if you're playing one of her characters.
Is that why it's a different color?
That color is for the first form. All of the timing words are colored.
So you can't use this ability in this deck?
The second ability you can't use in Moneta, no. You're only really worried about the response.
Well, so why does it distinguish which decks you can and can't use it in? The second ability.
The first word, it says Hagakure first form, and there's a character named Toru Hagakure who can use it, but you can only use it if you're playing her.
Okay. I'm just wondering, it's a little weird why it doesn't say that on the card, because like, if someone new to the game would be like, oh, I like this card, I want to put it in my deck because I want to do the second ability, and then they just like go to a tournament and then they just can't do it, and they're like, why? Right?
Other cards do have that reminder text. It's just this one specifically doesn't because it doesn't have the room.
Oh, okay. Or this is like an alternate art or something that doesn't actually say it?
It's both.
Okay. I know that in Magic there's some like alt arts of cards that don't actually spell out the exact flavor, like reminder text of some keywords, and some people have a problem with it, some people don't. But okay, what do I feel about this card? Three mid block is like okay, like I like mid blocks, but the 3 there is a little bit alarming. The fact that it only costs 2 is pretty good. The 5 check is pretty good. Spending a momentum. How do you gain momentum again?
So when your attack deals damage, you may choose to add it to momentum or send it to discard pile. There's advantages to both.
Okay. Removes spend a momentum after an attack is played, it gains flash. And that is only one time, not like for the rest of the turn?
So the attack keeps the flash keyword for the rest of the turn, but that rarely matters.
Only if you like ready it and then attack again, it would still have flash?
It removes from game. Well, you can't ready an attack. An attack is kind of one and done.
Got it. So it's not a creature. It's just like an attack. It's like a fighting game where you're throwing a punch, right?
Yeah. So you play it in your card pool. You make the check for it, and then it's saying, "Now I'm attacking you." And then when the attack is over, it either goes to momentum or discard pile at the end of the turn.
That makes sense. This card reminds me of like the Pokemon attack, like called like Follow Me, where it just helps the next attack. Which like hasn't been really good in the actual like story game, like Pokemon Fire Red or whatever. But it's like a really tactical, really good move in competitive Pokemon. So I think like enhancing your other things while also being a mid block that's like usable and also being a good check and fairly cheap to cast, I think this card is good.
So this is one of the better sideboard cards on air, good, and water.
Let's go!
So I would say, yeah, you are correct. So this is a card that you don't really want in every single deck because not every single deck really cares about if their cards are flash or not. But typically what this card...
Yeah.
Right, so typically what this card says is that, hey, I'm going to play this attack. If I get to do my funny stuff on it, you will die, or you're going to be really hurt from it. And so this card basically just says, I'm not dealing with that, and we're just going to go to blocks, and now it's just like this 3 high for 4, I'm just going to eat the 4, I don't care. But if I didn't do that, it might have been like a 10 high for 13, like really spooky.
Right.
So yeah, this card is basically mostly a sideboard card. Even Hagakure does not care about the first form. So yeah, like you just want it for the response, and it's a really good response.
Right, and especially like you bring it in as a sideboard option against like a mirror match of this deck, right? Because you don't want your attack power to be 0 and then for them to draw a card. But if you have a card that says like if it gets through checks or whatever, or if it gets through responses, it does something crazy. So you might want this card against a deck like that, right? Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah, so there's certain cards that say if this card is blocked, it will do some really stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Moneta makes the speed 0, but you still have to block it with 0 speed. So what he'll basically just say is that I'm not gonna deal with that. It's now 0. Play your next attack. It's now flash. Play your next attack.
Nice. Okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah. So this one is the new card type I told you about. I showed you it after the last time, but this is a new card for you. Here you go.
Okay, this one is Eden Box. Did I say that right?
I say Eden.
Okay, Eden Box, whatever it is. It's a 2-cost, 5-check, 2 low block, enhance, commit. Unique, meaning what?
You can only have one of this on your stage at any given point.
Okay, including in your foundations.
So this is an asset. So assets are basically they go down into your stage like foundations, but they cannot be committed to pass checks.
Got it. Okay, so it's kind of like an artifact or an enchantment in Magic, or like a continuous spell or something in Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay.
Yep.
Enhance, commit. Return this attack to its printed speed and damage. Whoa. What? Return it to its printed attack zone. This is blowing my mind. Okay, if it was unblockable, it is no longer unblockable. Return this attack to its printed speed and damage. So if it's modified or nullified by your opponent, it would just like nullify that nullification. Return it to its printed attack zone if it was if their opponent had moved its zone. If it was unblockable, it's no longer unblockable. So like that's the downside, I guess. If it was unblockable, it's no longer unblockable, but it like reforms the attack if it had been modified in any way from your opponent. Am I assessing that correctly?
Correct.
Okay. You can only have one play at a time, so it's like kind of like it's legendary. How good do I think this is? Like, this also seems like a sideboard card against like an opponent that is trying to mess with your stats. Like, this is not card advantage. Like, it's not really card advantage. Like, it's basically just a -1 until you get to use it, which is like why I think it would be a sideboard card. It helps you, but like it only helps you if your opponent has already done something to you, and you can't like guarantee your opponent's done something to you. So it's like really interesting. It's like you'd bring it in post board, and then you just like play it and leave it there, and your opponent you bring it in against decks that your opponent's gonna mess with your stuff, and then it would be pretty good. But other than that, I think that you wouldn't like play this in the main deck. But if you would want like one of this in your main deck at all, you would want it, I think, if your attacks are like super vulnerable to being nullified, and you really need this one attack to get through. And if it doesn't, you're probably going to lose. Then you like might want to play this in your main deck. But I'm going to say this card overall is not that good, and it's just like a fringe sideboard card or something.
This is one of the best defensive options in your main board.
No.
So
why? Tell me why.
Because you can use it on defense. So if they buff all of their attacks, like I said
I was
before,
not thinking about that way.
Mm-hmm.
It says return this attack, so it's like it's real. I think it's worded in a way that is talking about your attacks.
If it was about your attacks, it would say return your attack too.
Oh, okay. Like if it said return target attack to its printed speed and damage, I would like gain that it's trying to talk about your opponent's stuff too. But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
So because there's only one attack going at any given point, that's why it just says this attack, because it only is referencing the attack that's currently going.
Okay, because I thought the unblockable was like clearly just a downside, where it is an upside because your opponent's things can be unblockable and it lets you block it. Okay.
Correct.
My brain was not working for this. If I had gathered that it was about your opponent, that you could do it on your opponent's stuff too, which was my fault. Okay, I knew you in a different card. You said you can use enhances on your opponent's cards. Okay, so it's my fault that I didn't put that together. But I'm sad about it. I would have figured it out that it was good if I had thought about your opponent's cards. But I got a super negative, super bad on that one.
Yeah. So this card is really, really good. It's just from Yu Yu Hakusho, but it's already been seeing like top level play. It's one of the best defensive cards. And what's interesting is that like for Mineta specifically, he has that discard momentum enhanced to make the speed 0.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes you just want to draw a card so you can get another attack. So you could use that discard momentum effect to make it 0, use the ident effect to commit and return it back to its printed speed, and then now you have a card in hand, and if you have another ident box in hand, if you do play that, when it comes down, it will basically say, pick which one you want.
Yeah, like
and
a
so
legend
then you
rule.
could just pick, yeah. So then you do the one that's untapped and
Right. You just pick the uncommitted one. Yeah, just like Magic.
Yeah. So yeah, this card really good. There's a lot of unique plays you can do with it.
Dang. Oh well.
So this one, I'm super curious what you're gonna think, given how you've spoken before. Here you go.
Rushing Stab. It is a 4-cost. Looks like an alt art. 2+ mid block. It's a 4 mid speed attack, which is a little bit mid. It is a 5 power. It is a 1 check. Oh my gosh. Stun 3. What is stun 3?
So stun 3 is an enhance. On your when you play the attack, you can say I enhance stun 3, and your opponent has to commit 3 foundation.
Oh my gosh. And it's a weapon. And anything special out of being a weapon?
It's just flavor keyword.
Okay. Let's see. If this card is added to your momentum, add it face up.
So most momentum when it goes to your momentum pile, momentum zone. Yeah, it's face down.
Okay. Can you use? Oh, enhance. Wait. Can you use the card's abilities if it's face up in your momentum?
So if you look at the 2 enhances after that, they'll say bracket momentum and then the cost.
Now let's
that
do
means
that.
you can only use they can only use those effects if it's in momentum.
Okay. Enhanced momentum, flip, draw 2. Wow. Enhanced momentum, flip. If your rival has lost health this combat phase, seal 2 rival foundations. Seal is what?
Seal is turn off all abilities that cannot gain abilities for the rest of the turn.
Wow. And the only way you can add this to momentum is for you getting the attack through?
There are other ways. Some characters and some cards can say, take a card from your hand, add it to your momentum, top of deck to momentum. But typically if it goes from a private or hidden zone to momentum, it can't flip face up because there's no way to prove it, really. Obviously there is, but it's just rules.
But this would, though.
But there are ones. No, it would not. Because if it goes from private information or hidden information, like the deck, it would still stay face down. But if it adds from discard pile, it would go face up.
Okay, so if it adds from the public information to your momentum, it would add it face up, even though it would add face down because it says it on the card. But if it was like added from a private zone into the momentum, it would always be face down, even though it had the text on it.
Right.
Okay. For my first thoughts, the 2 block is okay. It's passable. The 4 cost is good for what this card is doing. The 4 mid attack is not really good speed because I've seen like 5 up attacks before and 5 down attacks, which are like better than a 4 mid attack. So this card is going to be easier to block. So it's going to be like harder to put this card in the momentum to begin with. 5 power is like kind of good. 1 check is abysmal. So this is like a card that is like a finisher card, but at the same time, it's like a really toolboxy card. Like, do you want to draw 2 cards, or do you want to like seal their foundations for the turn and attack with something else? It also like taps 3 of your opponent's mana like when it attacks, which is like absurd. So like when you attack with this and you stun your opponent's stuff, can they like use those foundations in response to the ability? Can you do a different thing and use the mana in response?
If they so because it's not exactly like mana, basically all it does is you can tap it when you need to add to a check. They can't just tap them to gain mana. It does not work that way.
Okay.
There are effects that say if this card is committed due to your rival's effect, do X, or if a card would be committed due to a rival effect, do Y. So sometimes they'll come up. It's not enough to really worry about for how good this card is, but it is something that can happen.
Like, I think if you're attacking with this and you're stunning 3 of their foundations, then like it's super, super detrimental. Like, this deck is already, with the leader that we already talked about, the Minoru Mineta, is already influencing your opponent's mana decisions in a way that's like a little bit annoying for them. If you have that and also Rushing Stab, your opponent is just like super tied. Like, their hands are just tied when you attack with this, and then if the attack's like gonna get through, right? I mean, it's kind of easy to block, right? Because it's a 4-mid attack, but like if they've done a couple things in the turn, then it's like harder for them to do the next action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if this is like the 3rd thing you attack with in the turn, it's going to be really hard for them to block this if you stun them. So or yeah, continue to like do something on your turn if you stun them, and so this is like more likely than not, is what I'm conjecturing, going to be in your momentum. And then when it gets in your momentum, you have these 2 really, really, really good abilities to flip it and draw 2, which is already kind of insane. And then if they lost this health during this combat phase, which they probably already did, since you're like attacking them more than once per turn, hopefully, you get to seal their foundations. But the only other question I'm getting is like, yeah, those abilities are good, but like, how often is this going to happen? Because it's a 1 check. So like, how many realistically are you going to be playing it in your deck, and how easy is it gonna be to like get this in your hand, do the thing, and then actually get it in the enhanced? Like, it feels like a lot of hoops to jump through, but I think I'm gonna say that it is the amount of hoops that you need to jump through to do this is worth the payoff, and I'm going to say it's a good card.
I'm going to go so far as to say it's an okay card.
Okay.
I think that there are decks that can really make it work. But this is not that sort of card where if you're playing a water deck or death or life, if you can't either make this go to momentum very easily, there's a lot of cards that can cheat momentum. One of this character on the art's own cards basically says, after you attack, take 1 weapon from your discard pile, add it to your momentum. Like that. There you go.
Right.
But for Mineta can decently play it because he does string decently well despite 5 hand size. And because he cares about having momentum, having an effect that goes that can flip instead of discarding itself as its own effect, basically means that you get 2 uses out of momentum and possibly draw 3 cards, right?
Yeah.
On defense or on offense. So this is one of those cards that's like, if you can make it work, really, really good. But if you can't, the 1 is just way too detrimental.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what I was saying. It's like this card. Yeah. I was kind of like, yeah. I mean, I hate to say that every time you pop up a card, like, oh yeah, I was saying that, but like, you know, I feel like this card is good if your deck wants to jump through the hoops, right?
Yeah, for sure. When I hear good, I'm thinking like this can go into a good amount of decks as opposed to ones that are kind of built for it.
Oh, I'm not even thinking about like generically good. I'm not even thinking about like generic cards for like any deck. I'm thinking about like for this deck, because this is like the only deck you've shown me, right? It's like it's like the blue episode today.
Yeah, this is the. So, I only show the character as a grounding point. It's
right.
Not really like it has to go in that character.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's not incorrect. Like that's
so what would you have said if I said that like I don't think this card's good enough?
I would probably given you the full point.
The full point
like,
for it? Okay.
I like, to me, like, not good enough and okay are kind of in that same-ish area, but good is basically saying like this card doesn't have as much holding it back as opposed to if you can make it work, it works, right?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of a difference of like if your deck wants to play this, it's busted. But it's usually not that good of a card.
Yeah.
So that kind of reminds me of like a, you know, a super niche card in Magic that like you only play it in one deck, but this card is like one of the best cards in that deck. I think I would still call that a good card. But it does, even though it doesn't go in like any other deck, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I had fun with this card. I think I like this card. I also like this deck. Like the blue character, the Minoru Mineta. If I played this game, is probably a card that I would, probably a deck that I would play.
Yeah, it's I hate this character so much.
I just like drawing cards. I like drawing cards. Drawing cards is good. You give me, like I said in the beginning, you give me the choice to either win the game or draw cards. I'm choosing to draw cards every time.
Oh, for sure. It's just like when you play against someone who knows how to play my local,
It's annoying.
I'm never gonna hit you. I'm never gonna do anything. I might as well not play the game, buddy.
Oh, this is like blue control deck of
He's a
this game.
hard control character.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
The deck I play in Magic right now is a control deck too, so it's right up my alley for sure.
Yeah, it's a control deck. It's basically saying, I'm going to do my thing, and you're not going to do your thing.
I love that. I love that.
See how it goes from here. That's why him debuilding you 2 times in his turn cycle, like, that's crazy. That hurts.
Right, okay. I like that. I like hurting my opponent's feelings, for sure. Like, I just played in a regional championship qualifier, and I was in top 4, and I played a control mirror match. And those are abysmal. But I like playing control against other decks, not control mirror matches. If that's the best kind of card game that you like to play, 2 brick walls looking at each other, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, thank you, Ylissean, for coming back on the channel. By the way, also check him out on Twitch down below. On Ylissean, I will put that in the description below for you to click on it if you would like to check him out. Thank you once again for being on the show, and you get one Patreon video per month. And if you would like to be on a video as well, go ahead and check out the Patreon link down in the description below as well. I said this already, but I'll say it again. Thank you once again for coming on the show. I like evaluating these cards, and we'll do one again next month if you'd like to as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. See you in the next one. And as always, peace.
Bye.